In this video, I'm going to show you how you can optimize your images using the best tools. Coming up. Hey guys, Eddie from E11 World here. Today I have a really fantastic video for your beautiful faces. I'm going to show you how you can optimize your images using a few tools, and this is going to save you a lot of hard drive space. It's going to save you resources. You're going to do editing and uploading much faster, and just a better overall for the whole web in general. So yeah, we're going to get started right away. But before we do, make sure you subscribe and ring that bell icon so you know of all the other future videos that are going to come up. I promise there are going to be a lot more. And yeah, if you think this video is going to be helpful at the end, make sure you like it and share it if you think it's going to be useful for others. So we're going to get started. Now, most people have Photoshop. If you don't, these are also free tools out there online. You don't really need to pay for anything. Some of them have limitations, but yeah, we'll see. So I found across this WordPress post here, basically talking about different ways you can optimize your images, and this is more for WordPress only. So I'm not talking about WordPress only, but I'm surprised that they didn't actually add this one here, Tiny PNG, because it's probably the best one out there. I haven't tried these ones specifically, but you know, they're all paid here, it seems. So this one is free. I've used it on my website. I've used it on other websites. For WordPress websites, it's great. And you can use the web version. I have the plugin, which I bought for Photoshop. And yeah, it's really good. So anyways, we're going to get started right away. I'm going to put links in the description for all of these. And I'm going to keep an updated list so that this video is not just, you know, sitting there 10 years from now and it's not doing anything. It's actually going to be updated just like my other videos. I have a one for free stock images and videos. Make sure you check the description below for the link to that as well. And yeah, I'm going to maybe pop it up here. I'm not sure. So yeah, first one, and this is my favorite one. The best one, I think, also is Tiny PNG. It compresses your images very well, and there's hardly any difference in quality. I'm not going to show you too much. I have some images here, but I'm not going to show you too much because the compression from the video and whatnot might not even give you the full view of how it actually, how close they are. I mean, I can show you a comparison, but I'm not sure how close you're going to see it with the YouTube compression and everything. So this is one. The other one is actually from Google Photos, and this is just a few images I've uploaded for test purposes. They're all here as well. And these are the other ones, image to go, compressed JPEG, and this is pretty much identical to this. It's like a duplicate. Optimizilla, right? They look the same. And JPEG Optimizer is another one, compressor.io, and bonus, I'm going to talk to you about this at the end. So yeah, we're going to get started. So you can see here, I've got a bunch of images, and these are some of my test ones. And so these are from like different sources. Shutterstock, this is from my camera, which gives you the raw photo, CR2. This is from my Canon. And also from my phone, just Huawei P30. This one here, and yeah, a couple more. Okay, so I'm going to start with, okay, let's go with the smaller ones. I think resized was the one. Yeah, so this is one image. This is the original. Okay, this is one I took at Adobe Max last year. I think it was last year. Yeah, and you can see there's a bunch of stuff here. It's kind of dark. So one thing to consider is the more light there is in the image, the brighter the image, and the more obviously that's going on, the higher the file size will be. So this one is 5 megabytes, under 5 megabytes anyway. And the reason I tested this across all of them is because the limit here is 5 megabytes, and all the other ones actually have a higher limit from what I found. And yeah, so we're going to start. PSD quick export. This is when you have Photoshop and you basically go to export, quick export. Most people will have this as PNG. If their default is that way, I change it to JPEG. So that's what the file size is. Not much of a difference. The PSD legacy, which is the save for web, it says legacy here. It's actually a really good option. I think older Photoshop versions was probably even better than this. But it's not bad, actually. And this is like less than half the size. So already this is not bad. And you can see the the dimensions of this. It's, my guess is 18 megapixels. And Google one here is actually less. So yes, it's at the top of the list for size, but it's actually, you know, resized the image. So it's not the same dimensions. And a very good tip for everyone here, if you're a beginner or if you're an advanced user, I guess, make sure you never use this. Please don't ever use the camera, image straight from your camera. You're just killing everything. Your hard drive, online space, the performance, the speed of everything. Always make sure the maximum you should ever use for dimensions is 2000 megapixels. And this is like, basically as wide as an HD monitor, 1080, whatever, 1920 by 1080. And, I know there's old talk of this 4K and whatever, but, you never see it. Unless you're using like cinema stuff, there's no point to doing that, okay? So maximum width, 2000 pixels. Please don't ever use more than that. Okay, so back to here. I'm starting from the bottom up just so you have an idea of everything. The PSD save as, this is a function where you go and actually just save as. And you can select from the drop-down list to save as JPEG. So it's just under this, just a little bit. So it's not even the better option here. Now we go to the online tools, okay? So imagecompressor.com, you know what? And maybe, yeah, okay, we'll go from here. So image compressor, that was this one, okay? These two are pretty much identical. Like if you look imagecompressor.com and this one, it's like, or sorry, compressed JPEG, they're almost the same. Like there's hardly difference here, okay? And they're both okay tools. I wouldn't recommend them. Yeah, so that's that. Image to go would be the next one up. And that is, I think, or is it image to go? Okay, this one. And I've actually kind of sorted these by favorites, from like best to worst performing, okay? The reason this is here, because this has no file size limit. And if you look here, so for example, if I look here, the file size of this one is 44 megabytes. You don't see many photos that are that large in size. Okay, someone's camera here is like maybe 40 megapixel or something. Okay, so it's crazy. Nobody's going to use that many megapixels. So please always resize your images and then compress using one of these. So the reason that this one is like third on my list is because it has no limits as far as I know so far. I've tested these and I've uploaded this image and I'll show you in the results. There's no limit to the file size. One thing you could do is basically upload it to this, resize it first actually before you upload, and then upload it to here. And once you get a file size of less than 5 megapixels, or 5 megabytes, sorry, then you can try here. In my testing, when I tried here, it was already as good. It didn't even make a difference. So, and I'll show you. I did my tests here, and I'm probably going to just redo it for the sake of showing you guys. So yeah, back to here. Okay, so that was image to go, and then you got compressor.io, which is slightly better than this, so kind of ruling that out as well, the last one here. JPEG optimizer, slightly better. With this one, actually, the limit is 10 megabytes. I can't remember what the limit is on this one, but when I did it, I didn't choose this, so I don't want to resize, but this is where you could resize online for free. And I always go for 70 and higher. I think 65 still shows you a little bit of compression on JPEGs, like artifacts, and I'm not a fan of that. So 70 for me and higher is the way to go, even in Photoshop or whatever. And actually, I'll talk about this, when at the very end of the video, more in detail. So if you don't have Photoshop, or if you're doing it with other editors and not, I mean, obviously there's Gimp for free on Windows anyway. Yeah, back to the list. So TinyPNG from Photoshop. This is the plugin, and this is the web version. Okay, and so the web version is actually done better. It's like smaller file size. This is not always the case. Not sure why I did it like this time. But when I went in my Photoshop, so I have the plugin, I go export, and TinyPNG. Basically, it did this. It spit out this file and slightly larger than the web version. So I mean. So yeah, Google, again, like I said, it's very comparable to TinyPNG. It's actually probably the second best one up there. I think I left it first for some reason, but yeah, it would be the second best actually. Yeah, so in here I have it as second best. And the reason is Google has really, really good compression, and it does that. Basically, you just need a free Google account, and then you have photos, and drag and drop your photos here, and then download it. Just make sure your settings are not full original quality, okay? High quality reduces it to 16 megapixels. Whichever is higher than that, it will get reduced, and that's where that pixel count comes in. Okay, so it will reduce it to whatever is limited at 16 megapixels. And again, very little difference. Like I'll show you. So we're gonna go, maybe not this image actually, because you're gonna see a slightly smaller image, but just to show you. So this is Google and this is tiny PNG. Slightly larger and smaller, right? Slight. And maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe, like if you're very somehow looking into it, you might see a tiny bit more sharpness from tiny PNG. But again, if you look here, see this noise also, right? I think the Google one is actually, it's trying to remove some of that, and I think that's where a tiny bit, I'm not sure even if you can see it in the video or not, but it loses some of that detail. A tiny bit. It's not even worth it. Okay, actually I'll compare the two. So this is tiny PNG and tiny PNG from Photoshop, and again we'll zoom in. Maybe I'll zoom into a better spot. Look, 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 1. Okay, so I'm not sure how much you can tell in the video, but they are identical. Like I think even the noise pattern is like the same. And it goes to the same thing with the other ones, right? Like I'll keep this one open for tiny PNG. Okay, let's go with image to go. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 1. So it's, if you can see a tiny bit here, the image to go, come on. It's like a tiny bit less noise, but I mean, it's so hard to notice. Like nobody will probably ever notice this. So we're talking about like, you know, like, I don't know how tiny they are, but they're very micro, small things that nobody will ever notice, I think. And for this, again, you know, you're almost seeing half the file size in here for the compression. And it's like, whatever, 8 times smaller than this, right? Than the original. So this was for a photo that was sort of dark and under 5 megabytes. Okay, so we'll go to 10 megabytes. And this one I've used from Image Compressor because that was like the one with the limit. But you can see it's like 2 megabytes, almost 2 megabytes. And this is the original. Where is it? Okay, from 9. So that's not bad at all. And you know what? I'll drag into, actually, I can't drag it into this because it won't work, right? But if we drag it to, well, let's go to one of these guys. Okay, compress.io. Okay, so we'll wait for it to upload. And again, the beautiful thing with this one is there was no file size limit. And I'm hoping that this video is not going to be too long, but yeah, we'll leave things as they are. I think 70% is good. You won't notice any difference, but you can test these for yourself and see. This one is nice also. It's got a Chrome extension. So yeah, you can always just work that into Chrome if you have. Let's see, that was the 10 megabytes. Okay, so 1.78, 1.91. Not much better, but it is better. So obviously choose the better one, right? And again, now, I mean, I would say take this into here, for example. This is what I was talking about, where you can drag it into here, see how much more it could compress, because now it's under 5 megabytes. Okay, I don't know how much it's going to compress. Like I've tried once or twice and it was like 0 compression. So I guess it already found that this was the best possible compression with the current whatever setting that we chose for whichever one here I tried. So we'll wait for it here for a second just so you can see it. Yeah, so as I mentioned, it's like 0 changes. Okay, and it says up to 20 images, but really if you just refresh your page, you don't have that limit anymore. So really your limit is the 5 megabytes. And for that, I just bought the Photoshop plugin, $65 US, but it's still worth it. Okay. So that's this one. And then we're going to go to a bigger one, large. I know this isn't the best photo for, you know, actually seeing the details, but just to see how the difference. So the first one here was 22, almost 23 megabytes. And with the compression, compressed JPEG, it's, I think it was one of those guys, compressed JPEG, this one here. So it's down to 3 and almost a half megabytes. And on this one, it's 2.72. I can't remember which one was this actually. 2.72. Let me see. Oh, I think this was this guy, the free one here. So let's actually try that one more time, just to kind of show you guys, walk through it. 22 megabytes is going to take some time to upload. Okay, and while that's happening, I'm gonna give you the result on this one. So this is this image, the 44 megabytes, and I think you've been waiting for it. So yeah, here's the difference. Google, again, it's like resizing almost half the pixels. And let me go by this, my size, okay. So, you know, if you're thinking almost double this, you're still gonna get a bigger number than that. So tiny PNG from Photoshop, in this case, because it's a big number, right? 44 megabytes to 3. That's huge difference, right? And if you think you're gonna make sure that this is only 2000 megapixel, I'm sure your file is gonna be less than 1 megabyte. By today's standard, it's still a lot in a way, but it's not much. I mean, you know, serving that to mobile and all these things, this is for web development I'm talking about, where, you know, you try to optimize every image the best possible way. So yeah, image to go, that was, where is it? Yeah, this guy actually, sorry. It resized it to 7.5 megas. So not bad at all. And when I tried to drag it again to here, it wouldn't work actually, because it's still over 7 megabytes. But other ones, you hardly get any more compression. But from the Photoshop plugin, this is wonderful. Like the tiny PNG is just amazing. Okay, so we are at the same settings. This is again that 22 megapixel megabyte texture. Okay, and basically it's just a texture, right? So the one we got here was 2.72, and yeah, so 2.96 is what I got here. My guess was that this is using another one of those websites. I just can't remember, to be honest. But yeah, there it is. That's the tests in general. Oh, and I think this is the other one I tried. So 4.66. Let's see. Yeah, so this one, 4.66. That's original from Shutterstock. And if we look at the sizes, let me see. Maybe I should do that. Okay. So compressed JPEG did it okay. Actually, a very good size also. From 4 megabytes, right? And tiny PNG, they were exactly the same, the web version and the desktop version from Photoshop. So I think that gives you an idea. And you know, let's look at the differences. Like this is, okay, we'll look at just some detail here. Okay, actually, I have to go exactly. So 1, 2, and 1, 2, or just 1. Okay, and let's look at the original. So 100% of size 1, 2, and 1. Okay, so this is the Shutterstock. You can see tiny PNG. Can you see the difference? I'm switching between them. Maybe look at skin areas, right? Like you can see in her cheek here, there's hardly any difference. Just a little bit of noise. You know, that's the only difference. Like the Shutterstock one has a bit more noise, that it got softer here. But in terms of like sharpness, it's almost like identical. You can't even tell. So this is the benefit. And you know, you should do this for all images. I'm sure it's like, you know, if I had time, I'd go there and you know, go through all my images. I have over 1 terabyte of images that I can compress, but you know, like maybe Photoshop make an action and have it resize everything and save it in the same file name. But yeah, I mean, you have just to have time. Really, it's a matter of you spending the time of doing this. I want to show you that if you don't have an image editor like Photoshop, you can use Gimp, obviously free Windows software. But even online, right? This is it, like one of the easiest ones, Pixlr. It's basically like a Photoshop online. So I'll go here and I'll just create a new image. You can choose the dimensions, and there you go. Like this is it. You basically have all your tools pretty much like Photoshop online, and some of them are even better. So some of the effects and stuff, you know what, let me actually apply an image here. So let's open an image. Okay, let me open up this guy. Okay, so I'll just add to current, it doesn't matter. This is like if I wanted to open up into a new layer. I think it might actually take some time because this one was whatever, 5.46 megabytes. And yeah, there it is. I'm sure you can do a zoom in and out. I just haven't played around with this enough. But yeah, you get your layers and some effects, and you know, there's a ton of stuff here. It's actually nice and modern. I don't know what, like this is great alternative if you don't have, you know, and look at that. Like this is just so sweet, and it's so instant in so many ways. Okay, so yeah, I don't know if I should go further into this, but you get the idea here. You know, there's a ton of stuff. You can add your text, and elements. I think there's more paid stuff if you want to go in more detail in here. But this, I think, yeah, use it if you don't have Photoshop, right? I think this was the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope this wasn't too long, but I wanted to go with the best and most detailed comparison so that you guys don't have to. And I've chosen random images here. I didn't try raw because if you are already using raw, then you pretty much know what you're doing and you should know this. But hopefully this opens your eye to how you can compress the images. I mean, even in general, if I had the time, I'd sit there and actually compress all my JPEGs. So I would have so much, space that I can save on my hard drive. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this again. So thanks for watching. Thank you for your time. Please put a thumbs up and subscribe. There's more videos coming in the next little while. And I'm going to try to keep making these videos as much as possible. And yeah, so thank you again. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.